close this window, but we are live. Hello, happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are having a great week. I can't believe how quickly it's going. It's been super productive. We started our April round of trim started on Monday. Onboarding week started, and ladies are crushing it. Registration for that round closes tonight at midnight. So if you guys are still kind of interested or wanting to join us for trim, there's still time. And actually today we donated over $2,000 to families in need from ladies who signed up for the round. We're doing a percentage of every sign up to help families who lost their jobs during this time. So if you guys, again, are thinking about joining some sort of boot camp, I'm biased, but I think trim's the one. So if you want more information, just shoot me a message, and or you can go to smofitness.com/trim. So today we're making risotto, and risotto is a really fun one because it is sort of a technical dish, but I think it's one of those dishes that seems so fancy and overwhelming, but it's really, really simple to make. So I want to break it down for you today and show you kind of my way of making risotto that's really easy. It doesn't require a ton of stirring, it doesn't require a ton of attention, and it turns out perfectly every time. I think one of the biggest other big misconceptions with risotto is that it's unhealthy. And if you get it in a restaurant, more than likely they've added cream, they've added butter, and they've added cheese to it just because they're masking the fact that they're not good at making risotto. Or a lot of people just love that heavy feel. But for me, risotto is just nice and light and bright. I mean, it's rice cooked in veggie stock, low and slow, and then I finish it off with a little bit of cheese for an extra pop of flavor, but it's nice and creamy because I've cooked it properly. So I'm going to show you guys how to make risotto healthy today as well. And this recipe is from A Healthy Passion. We've got about 10 risotto recipes in there. They're all fantastic. So if you guys are not cooking with us yet, get on it, ahealthypassion.com. It's my meal planning software. If you guys are struggling to stay on track with healthy living, or you need to know what to eat to reach your weight loss goal, or you want a tool that's going to help you plan and organize and shop, definitely check out A Healthy Passion. It's a game changer. It helps me so much. So, and so many other people who use it. Okay, so today's ingredients, what we're going to use, and again, I posted the ingredients list, but we'll run through them really quickly for those of you guys who didn't see it. We're going to use peas. So again, we're kind of pulling from freezer and pantry recipes still, all of April. And peas are really great because you can just keep them on hand and they last for like a year in the freezer. They're cheap. I buy organic and they're still really cheap. They just add a really nice bright color to the dish. And to me, I think they're just so sweet and delicious. So I actually love when I can get them in season. In the springtime, to buy them and freeze them. They're going to be way better than anything you'll ever find in the store, but store-bought's good too. So we're going to use about a cup of peas. We're going to use a shallot or a red onion. I have a red onion that's starting to sprout, so we're going to use that little guy first. We're going to use a lemon, some fresh basil, and we kind of picked our plan apart on Sunday when we cooked our Italian meal, so we don't have a ton of basil left. I'm trying to let it grow back, but typically you'd use like one of the little 0.25 ounce containers, but these 3 big leaves will have to do, and it smells so good. We're going to use veggie stock, which is my go-to. You could use chicken stock, you could use bone broth, you could make your own veggie stock, you could make your own chicken stock, whatever you have, whatever you like. I like these cubes. I use them all the time. Hey, Tracy. Also say hi when you guys pop on. I love to know you're here. I love these cubes. They're the Edward & Sons Not Chicken. I get them on Amazon or at Whole Foods or Kroger. But they're great because you can cut them up and use what you need instead of opening a container of stock and then putting it in the fridge and forgetting about it. And there's no crappy ingredients too, so they're very clean. If I don't have homemade, this is what I use. So I'm gonna use one of those. I've got 4 cups of water in my pot coming to a simmer, so I'm gonna go ahead and add one of my veggie stock cubes and let it start sort of disintegrating. I don't know if that's the right word. Start breaking down. Ooh. Also, I do have great news for those of you guys who had been asking or who commented on my post recently, but we are attaching videos. We're going through every Healthy Passion recipe that has a video and attaching it. So it'll be anything from these lives to television spots to anything that I've done video-wise. So if you guys are cooking a recipe that has a video, you can watch and cook along with me, or you can just watch how it's done. So it's going to be awesome for those of you who are like, I don't know how to cut ginger, I don't know how to cut garlic, or you just want to watch and learn. So it's going to be super interactive and fun. So that should be done hopefully next week. So veggie stock, then of course your arborio rice. And arborio rice is just a short grain rice. I like it because it has a super high starch content, and the way we're cooking it, it's actually going to draw out all that starch, and that's where you get that creamy texture. So you want arborio rice. White rice isn't going to do the same thing. You can make like risotto style dishes, like I've done it with barley before. I've done it with what are those little couscous, Israeli couscous, things like that. They'll turn out similar, but if you want that real classic taste, you want that arborio rice. And again, it's gluten-free, so I think it's perfectly healthy. And then wine, white wine. I like Chardonnay for this, or a Pinot Grigio. So, and use something you would drink. I'm not a big fan of like cooking wine. I buy inexpensive wine. I don't buy like $20 bottles for cooking, but I buy something that I can drink with it, which I might just grab a glass and have a little bit while I cook. Okay, so to start, what we want to do is get our onion into the pan. So we're going to take, I'm going to move you guys a little closer. Can you see that? I'm going to take a little bit of butter and olive oil. And we talked about this last week, but for me, I just love the combination of the two. I think it's just, butter adds so much flavor, olive oil just cooks so beautifully. So I'm going to use about a half of a tablespoon of each, maybe a tiny bit more just because I love my butter. And you want a good amount in there because keep in mind, we want our risotto to have good flavor and have a nice texture. So again, we're not adding a lot of cream or anything like that, so a little bit of fat is going to really help the flavor of the dish. Then we're going to take our shallot, again, like a quarter of a red onion. If you're using red onion, you can use white onion in this too. Really, honestly, there's no difference. I just use shallot because, again, like I've talked about before, I like it because you use up the whole thing, so you're not throwing it in the fridge and sort of forgetting about it. We use enough onions around here that no onion ever goes bad. And then to cut it, I'm going to show you guys. Oops, I guess you can't really see. Can you see me there? Yeah. I'm going to put my hand on top, and then we're going to go into the onion. And you want to apply good pressure to hold that onion still. And I'm going to make 2 slices there. And then I'm going to go in with my blade. I wish you guys could see this a little bit better. But I'm just going to kind of make cuts across. And then I'm going to hold the onion here. And I'm just going to put my tip of my knife on the board. And push, pull. And that's a really quick way to cut an onion. And then when you get to the part where you didn't cut that far, you're just going to run your knife through it. And that is all going to go into a skillet over medium heat. And to that, I'm going to add my salt and my pepper. And the reason I'm adding my salt now is so it draws out some moisture in the onion and allows it to really kind of caramelize versus burn. So I like a nice caramelized onion. Part of the way to do that is a good amount of fat in the pan, a good nice tablespoon, and then also that salt that's going to kind of draw out that liquid. And then we're just going to kind of cook these little guys down for a few minutes until they're nice and tender. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is with the broth, you want a nice warm broth. And the reason for that is because if you think about it, the risotto is going to be warm when you're cooking it. So if your broth isn't warm, what's going to happen when you add that cold broth into the warm risotto is you're going to shock your risotto and you're going to slow down the cooking process. So you always want to make sure you're adding a warm liquid. That way it keeps everything cooking and doesn't slow things down. Because the point is to kind of draw out that starch as you add that liquid, but you want to keep everything cooking, if that makes sense. Okay, so while we're waiting on our onion, I'm going to open up my wine. And if you guys have questions, post them. This is one of those dishes that it's really not hard, but it does take about 20 minutes to make. So we've got plenty of time to hang out and chat. If you guys have questions on A Healthy Passion, definitely let me know. I'm happy to answer them. It's my baby. I've been working so hard on it the last couple of weeks, and we finally got the database all finished. So what's cool about Healthy Passion is the database is similar to MyFitnessPal in that you can search for whatever you want. Like if you're eating 2 eggs for breakfast and a piece of Dave's Killer bread, and then you're having, you know, a Healthy Passion risotto for lunch. You can type things in just like MyFitnessPal, but the problem with MyFitnessPal is that it's a user-generated database. So what that means is basically anyone can add anything in there, and it gives you a lot of bad data, and it also gives you a lot of data. So what I can't stand is when I type in chicken breast and 500 options pop up. So with a Healthy Passion, I've actually hand-selected every item that's been added in there. So when you search chicken breast, there's literally one option, and then you just put in how many ounces you've had. That way you know you're getting accurate data, number one, and number two, you're not spending an hour weeding through trying to figure out like what you had or what you didn't have. So again, I might be biased because I've been working my butt off on it for the last 4 years, but I'm so excited because to me it's going to solve that problem of like, how do I eat healthy? How do I reach my goals? But also enjoy the process because I don't know about you all, but I don't really want to weigh food and measure food. I just want to cook this meal, know the macro breakdown, know if I eat half of it, I eat this many macros, and enjoy the process because to me food's meant to be enjoyed with a little glass of wine. So cheers! Okay, so our onion's gonna start cooking down here. And again, like if you guys love caramelized onion, try adding salt to it beforehand. I have a couple recipes in AHP that are, oh gosh, Willa. Come on, no, Willa, no. Willa, come on. Sorry about that. I've got a couple recipes in Healthy Passion that are using caramelized onions. So if you would just Google like caramelized onion, I break down how to make really, really good caramelized onions. But again, adding that salt will bring out that moisture. You can also add water to kind of soften it a little bit too and cause them not to brown. Cheers, Tracy. And again, let me know. We're doing 5 o'clock again tomorrow night and then 1 o'clock on Friday. So let me know if 1 o'clock's better. I feel like we get a bigger turnout at 1 or if 5 o'clock's better for you all. I'd love to know. Tomorrow we're doing clams, spaghetti with clam sauce, which is like a little classic dish, but I feel like it's just so elegant, and it's using all pantry items, so it's great for right now. But it's so, feels just like a restaurant, so I recommend a nice glass of red wine and that dish, and you're gonna feel super fancy. You can even get dressed up. All right, so our onions are cooking down. Next thing I'm gonna do is get my rice measured out. So I'm going at half a cup of rice. So we're making 2 portions. All the Healthy Passion recipes are 2. You could totally double this, no problem. Actually, I recommend if you like risotto, even if you're not cooking for a family, to double it because it does reheat pretty well. One thing we love to do is take it and then the next day, take the leftover risotto and do a little bit of flour, egg, breadcrumb, and just pan sear it. And then serve it with Mike's tomato sauce. It's so good. It's kind of our take on arancini balls, which are deep fried risotto balls. But what's cool is the cheese kind of melts and gets all like gooey, and then you get that crispy crust from the breadcrumbs. So it's very tasty. So yeah, it doubles really well. And again, it's a really affordable dish to make. So I'm going to get my risotto rice, and like I said, I'm adding about 1/2 cup. And of course, all my 1/2 cup measuring cups are dirty. And you don't need your onion to get super tender because keep in mind it's going to be cooking for the next 15-20 minutes in stock, so it'll get broken down from that. And then what you want to do is take your rice and spread it around the pan, and I'm going to move you guys a little bit closer now just because we're done with the cutting board for a while. Actually, I think for the time being. Let's see, can you guys see that? Too close? Let's see if we can move it a little further away. There we go. Okay, so you're going to spread the risotto rice around, the arborio rice around the pan. And what you want to do here is let it sort of get coated in the oil and butter. And what this is going to do is kind of seal the starches in and really slow the release of them, because a good creamy risotto comes from properly releasing that starch. If you add too much liquid too fast, the starch is going to get released and essentially you're going to have rice. So what we want to do is really slow that by sealing in those starches. And also toasting it sort of gives it a nice nutty flavor. Again, we're looking for good complex flavors here, so every little technique really helps with that. So we're going to let it go for like a minute and really seal in that starch. And then I have no 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup, but we're going to do a 1/2 cup of wine. Now, if you don't want to use wine, you could skip this step, or you could use lemon juice. We're going to use lemon zest in this recipe, so honestly, lemon juice would work just fine instead of the wine, but I just wanted to open a bottle of wine, so here we are. Okay, that looks good. And again, about a minute, not super long. And then we're going to add the wine in. What this is going to do is sort of deglaze the pan and start the cooking process. And about a 1/2 cup. And then from here on out, all you're going to do is just wait for your liquid to absorb, add more liquid. Wait for your liquid to absorb, add more liquid. And I like to do this over medium heat because it speeds up the process a little bit. You could turn it down to like a medium low. But as long as you pay attention and don't let it like burn, you're fine. And I want to make sure my veggie stock cube's nice and absorbed here, so I'm going to kind of break it up with my spoon. And you don't want your veggie stock boiling, you just want it warm enough. So the key when making risotto is to make sure all the rice is kind of cooked or covered evenly with the liquid. So you don't really have to stir a whole lot, but I kind of like to give my pan a shake just to make sure everything's mixed up. What you'll run into, and this is a problem I think a lot of people will make, is that they'll get some little kernels of rice stuck on their side of their pan. They'll get some on their spoon, they'll get some stuck different places and then ends up with like crunchy and undercooked and then overcooked. So here you just want to make sure everything's nice and even, let the rice absorb, add more stock. Make sure it's all even, let the rice absorb, add more stock. And I'm using, again, I'm making this for 2, so I'm using just a small, I think this is a 10-inch non-stick pan. If you're making it for a bigger crowd, you can make it in a bigger pan, but for me this works perfectly. I do have like a big flat-bottomed pan that I do use for when I make risotto for a crowd. So you want to look for something, again, like the flat bottom. You don't want something that goes up the sides too much, because the key is having everything nicely, nice and evenly cooked. And the cool thing about peas in this is that they literally are adding them in at the end, and they're just going to kind of cook through inside of the risotto. So there's no extra cooking. If you were doing something like mushrooms or asparagus or what else? Any other veggie really, I would go ahead and saute it ahead of time, set it aside, and then you add it back in at the end. So that way it gets kind of warmed through, but it doesn't get mushy or it doesn't get, not cooked enough. I find people who cook the vegetable in the risotto, the vegetable oftentimes is sort of bland. It doesn't really get its own caramelization or its own flavor, so it kind of turns out meh. So I like to cook it separately, make sure it's seasoned well, and then add it in, and kind of tie the two components together. Make sure you guys can see that all right. I feel like my video skills are improving, sort of. And yeah, you're just gonna kind of give it a shake. Again, like it's not something you have to stand and stir. If I weren't talking to you guys, I would probably go make a salad or, kind of clean up the kitchen or do other things in between. It's not like you have to sit and stare at it. Again, if I wasn't staring at it though, I'd probably turn the heat down to about a 4, just to make sure nothing burns. But as long as you're watching it, you can cook it pretty quickly. Yes. Hi, Abby. Who else is on here? Hello, hello. Say hi. Also, quick reminder, Morgan, our trim trainer, is hosting a class tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I forgot to put the Eastern Time on the graphic I made. It's going to be a core and abs class. It's completely free, so if you guys want to join her, I'll post it in this group at 9. Actually, yeah, well, as soon as she goes live. So yeah, 9 o'clock. You'll be able to watch and join along with her from that. And I will tell you guys, she's amazing. She's a trainer for us, and then she also teaches classes at Orange Theory, and she does one-on-one coaching with Term Elite. She has a lot of personal training clients, and she is just incredible. She's so talented. She knows her stuff. So if you want a good ab burn and trim in our trim world, it's Thursdays is a rest day, but we like to do abs and core on our rest days just to kind of keep active. Hey, Becky. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more, and you really want to just kind of watch until the liquid's mostly absorbed, and then you add in more of your stock. So it's sort of like, again, just watch it. Once it looks like it's mostly absorbed, add it in. You don't want to like add it at this point where you guys can see there's like liquid sitting on top, because then again, you'll cook your rice instead of pull out the starch and make a risotto. And I see a lot of people are like doing it in the oven, and honestly, Anna Garden did a version in the oven, and I mean, if she did it, it's probably great, but I don't know, there's just something about the art of making risotto. Like, I just love it, it's so elegant. And if you guys want more protein, which I tend to like to do with my risottos, and again, this is probably going to be like 300 calories. It's not a super high cal dish, maybe 400 with the butter. We're going to do some cod tonight with it, and all I'm going to do is just season the cod up, sear it in a skillet, serve it with a risotto. So if you guys did want to add some sort of protein to it, fish is fantastic with risotto. I think that's such an elegant dish. You could also do chicken, you could do pork. I don't typically do beef with risotto, I don't know why, I'm sure it would be fine, but I find like the lighter dishes are typically better. And especially with peas, I just feel like cod and peas go so well. Yes, Becky, I'm cooking with wine, so I had to pour some. Cheers. Tracy, I feel like you would love it. It's so healthy and it's so delicious, and you can pack it with veggies and serve it with a nice protein, and it's a very satisfying meal. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons maybe of Parmesan cheese to the end, but again, you could totally omit that. But I just think it makes it so good. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've had a lot of people asking for a class on how to cook cod, so maybe I'll do that next week, because that's one of our go-tos. Mike loves cod, and we probably do it maybe at least 3 times a month. So it's really affordable. Hey, Leona, it's a nice fish. It's mild, it's flaky, it's firm, it cooks really quickly. I mean, it comes together in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And you can really season it however you like. So like for this, I would just do some salt and some pepper, to be honest, and maybe, like if I'm getting crazy, a little bit of cayenne pepper just to kind of add a little kick. But I love pie because it really just goes with, it takes on whatever. You can put some herbs on it. I know, yeah, you're catching me live. I'm on at 5 again tomorrow, so maybe you could make that one too. Although I was telling everyone earlier, Leona, I'm going into Healthy Passion, and every recipe that I have a video for, I'm going to go ahead and link it. So that way, if you guys are looking at recipes and it says, you know, cook with me, you can watch the video and cook along with me. So that should be really fun for those of you guys who don't make the live videos to have the replays like on the recipe. Oh, cod tacos. That's a good idea. So we did taco bowls last night. I made that Instant Pot chicken, which I'm not a big meat person. I typically don't eat meat very often, except for on Sundays. And I'm not going to lie, I had a few bites of that chicken, and it was so good. So if you guys have an Instant Pot, definitely try it out. If you don't have an Instant Pot and you have a crock pot, I posted instructions under the video on how to make it in a crock pot. Essentially, you just season it up how I did for the Instant Pot. But, oh my goodness, the chicken just like... The cool thing about Instant Pot is that... Here, I'm going to turn this way because I feel like I'm talking to the wall. The cool thing about the Instant Pot is that it's a really quick way to infuse a ton of flavor in your food and make it really tender. So with that chicken, when you did it in the Instant Pot for 10 minutes, it pressure cooked, so it cooked really quickly, but it infused that salsa and the fajita seasoning and that lime zest, and the chicken had so much flavor. I do eat fish, yeah, sometimes. Again, I don't eat a ton, but I do love salmon. And then when Mike wants cod, I'll usually have cod with him. So, yeah, I like that. And then a little bit of shrimp sometimes, and then I do love tuna. So, like a tuna burger or tuna salad. So yeah, I do eat some fish. I love veggies so much. I don't know what it is. I feel like I eat fish more for protein than, you know, getting excited about it. Now, if I'm on the water, heck yeah, you'll find me eating seafood every day. Like when I was in Key West, we went out for oysters a ton and tons of shrimp. Mahi is really good there. So I go back and forth. Is Instant Pot like a yep, it is a pressure cooker. Yep. I've never used a pressure cooker before, but it does the exact same thing. And it's a little bit scary when you put your food in and you push that button and you're like, okay, 10 minutes from now I have no idea what to expect. Especially because I'm relatively new at it. I just bought it to make recipes for a Healthy Passion, but you know, for me, I really like to cook, so I don't really need the Instant Pot for a meal, just dumping everything in. But oh, that's awesome. I've heard good things about those, Leona. I bought just the basic Instant Pot. I think it's an 8-quart or 6-quart maybe, off Amazon. But I've heard good things about the Ninjas. But yeah, I mean they're great for, again, if you're into making shredded chicken. I've had really good results making like chicken salad from the shredded chicken. I feel like it's a lot better than like boiling it. Yeah, you know, they are kind of, it is a learning curve for sure. I feel like, again, I'm like such a control freak in my cooking that letting it go and just putting it in there and pushing a button is a little bit scary. So, and honestly, I'm only stirring this rice because I don't know what else to do. So you don't have to, hands off. But I'm just standing here, so there we go. But I'll give you guys a little overhead view, see if I can do this without making you guys sick. But there we go. That's what it looks like. So you can see lots of liquid in there. I think that's like about a cup at a time that I'm doing my little measure or my little ladle. But yeah, it's sort of bubbling. You can see the starch is starting to release and get a little creamy. And if you do want a really decadent risotto, I would add about a 1/4 cup of cheese. I think that will make it like restaurant style decadent. I don't think I need a lot of cheese in mine. I love the flavor of risotto. I love the texture of it. It's so good. And the biggest mistake, I've said that like 4 times, but another mistake I see a lot of people make when making risotto is that they overcook it. So you want your rice to be al dente, like you would cook pasta where it's to the tooth. So when you bite into it, it's tender and it's delicious, but it still has a nice form to it. A lot of people will cook their risotto like 3 scoops of liquid too far and it becomes mushy. So I always taste it when it's starting to look done or when I'm almost out of liquid. Yay, oh Tracy, that's awesome. Yay, that's my goal, is just to make everything simple, because I think that, you know, a lot of people overcomplicate cooking, especially healthy cooking. I think that so many people use so many ingredients, and that's, again, with a Healthy Passion, that's my whole mission, is to just simplify that. So you literally are buying ingredients that you can find anywhere. It's not, you know, these crazy fancy ingredients that are expensive. I mean, this meal costs like $3 to make. So I love it. But back to risotto. So if you cook it too far, it becomes kind of mushy. So what you want to do is when it's starting to look done and when I'm getting close to the end of my liquid, I like to give it a taste. And typically when it is tender but it still has a bite to it, I'll add one more scoop of liquid, let that absorb, turn off the heat, add in my cheese, add in my ingredients, and then let it finish cooking. So you don't want mushy risotto. You want a nice like pasta. You know, you love the texture of perfectly cooked pasta. So that's what we're looking for here. And again, I'm just stirring it to make sure no sticking, everything's off the bottom. And it really is easy, I promise. Every dish I make, other than maybe I don't know, honestly, Mike's meatballs are easy now that but I mean, everything that we try to do is just simple as possible. There's no need to overcomplicate. But I would say his meatballs are probably one of the most complex things we've made on here. So, and actually it was fun. I was going back through as we were trying to figure out what recipes we had videos for. A Healthy Passion, if you go over to my Facebook page for A Healthy Passion, just type it in the search bar, you can see like 3 years of videos that I've done. And I had like a team back then, so I actually had like someone shooting and it was on a professional camera. And so if you guys want some more cooking videos, just go to A Healthy Passion's page and there's probably 50 on there. And I have cooking with other people and I have overhead, like the tasty videos where they're overhead and like quick. So there's a lot of content on that page that I just kind of forgot about, and we're going to, again, link all of that. And then I do a lot of television spots as well, so a lot of those are on there too. So if you want more easy videos to follow along with, definitely go check that page out. All right, it's starting to look good. So at this point, I'm going to taste. It looks like it still needs quite a bit more, but again, I like to make sure it's perfect, and the best way to make sure your food's perfect is to taste it. Okay, so yeah, it's got a nice bite to it still. Getting close, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys another overhead shot so you can see how much that starch has been released and how creamy it's looking. Right? So good. I'm so excited. Honestly, like this dish just makes me so excited. All right, so I'm gonna let this cook down. I think we're close to our last ladle, so I'm gonna let this cook down a little bit. Add my peas, add my lemon zest. I got new lemons, by the way, for those who are curious. I went to Costco and stocked up. I'm gonna add my lemon zest, and then I'm gonna grab my parm out of the fridge and add that in. I got that out ahead of time, but I'm just trying so hard to enjoy this beautiful weather that my windows are open and it's pretty hot in here. I'm just using Parmesan Reggiano. Hey, Amelia. Got a little stir around. Yeah, I think this actually is going to be enough liquid. And typically, it depends on a lot of factors how much liquid you use. I usually always do about 4 cups. Sometimes I use 3, sometimes I use closer to 4. It depends on how long you toast the rice. Again, like the temperature you're cooking it. When you cook at higher heat, sometimes it gets absorbed or it evaporates more quickly. So there's really no like rice to broth ratio, but typically about 4 cups is what I make. And if I do have it left over, I'll just put it in the fridge and I'll freeze it, or I'll put it in the fridge or I'll freeze it. And you can even do it in little ice cube trays and then just drop it into soups and things. So I don't waste my broth, even though it's the little cubes. All right, so I'm gonna taste again here. See where we're at. I think we're pretty close. Yep, that was so good. All right, I'm gonna add half a ladle full here. I'm just gonna do it for our stock, and then I'm gonna add my peas in and let them sort of defrost inside of the risotto and cook through. And look how pretty. Can you guys see the color of those green peas with the pink onion? Nala just joined me. So I'm gonna let that kind of finish off, and then once it cooks down a little bit more, we'll get our cheese, our lemon, and then we'll turn off the heat and we'll finish with basil. And I think we will be ready to eat. And like I mentioned, this is a little bit longer than my usual live videos, but I feel like this is such a simple dish that really needs to be shown how simple it is to make. So, and it's kind of fun hanging out a little longer. You guys have any questions? Who's excited to make risotto? I'd love to hear what other veggies you guys would put in your risotto. I kind of drew a blank on veggie combinations. Honestly, my favorite, like really simple one, this is one I always make whenever we come back from out of town in my pantry, or my pantry stocked, my fridge is empty, is just red onion and cheese. So simple. Leona, you better post a picture. See, this would be a perfect regular macro day recipe for trim. You too, Tracy. I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna give you all another overhead view because it looks so pretty. You see that? And again, it's bubbling away because I'm impatient. So I would say all in all, this takes about 30 minutes to make. So I'm gonna let that go another minute, probably. Just to absorb any last liquid. I'm gonna go ahead and add my cheese in. Actually, I'm gonna add my lemon in first. Because it's easier to, I don't know why, it's easier to zest a lemon on a clean lemon. And the lemon is just, again, gonna add that brightness. I gave this tip a couple days ago when we made, what the heck did we make that I told you guys to kind of, to brighten up a pantry dish. Adding fresh citrus and fresh herbs is always a good way to do so. Ooh, you're making the veggie fried rice tonight. Make sure you post a picture, Amelia. Hey, Miranda. Okay, so lemon's gonna go in. So yeah, it just really brightens up the dish. And I think lemon and peas is just such a classic combination. This would be a good recipe to make for Easter. If you guys are doing like anything for Easter. I know we're gonna make a special meal here at the house, obviously, but you know, this would be a really elegant dish to make. Serve alongside some lamb or whatever's traditional for you all. Alright, so then that cheese is going to go in. I'm looking for about 2 tablespoons or so. So a good amount, but not anything obscene. Go a little bit more if you want. But I like just enough to sort of give it that Parmesan flavor. Love risotto. Yay. Well, you have to try out this recipe. Let me know what you think, Miranda. So this would be good for regular macro days for Trim Boot Camp. All right. So I'll give you one more overhead shot. I know. Oop. Can you see? Oh, there we go. You guys see that? That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to set you down. Give it one more shake. I keep wanting to like rush it, but I'm gonna let it cook about 30 more seconds, turn off the heat, and then it's gonna be good. And then at this point, obviously, you can taste it. I'll taste it now because I'm able to taste things that are insanely hot and somehow not kill myself, but I would let it cool. I have made paella before, Leona. It's similar to risotto. It's a very kind of technical, time-consuming, but it's really not hard. I could do that. Probably when we're out of quarantine, though, if I can go to the store, because I'll have to go and get like saffron and then all my fresh fish. But yeah, we could totally do paella. That'd be fun. All right. That looks perfect, my friends. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt, a little bit more black pepper, just to season it up. I like my risotto nice and seasoned, but I wish I could hold, it's sort of hard to hold my thing over and give you guys a good shot of it, but you guys can see pretty well. You all see that? That is what it looks like. So I'm going to chop up my basil, pop it right on top. The heat's off, so it's kind of just cooking with whatever heats from the pan, but you guys can see how it's nice and creamy, but it's not like too creamy. It's not like mushy. So I'm just gonna take my basil, and the best way to chop your basil up or to cut it into little thin ribbons is to roll it up like a cigar. I guess you guys can't see this. One of these days I'll have a little better setup, I promise. Can you see my basil? Hello? Nope. Anyhow, you guys can just listen to me. So you roll it up like a cigar, knife on the board, and then just thin ribbon slices. And the reason why we're adding the basil at the very end is because I don't want it to cook. I don't want it to turn brown. I want it to stay that nice bright green, which is going to be that nice pop of flavor and texture. So Mix that right in, and there you guys have it. Simple springtime pea lemon risotto with Parmesan. I will post a picture of the finished product as well as my dinner tonight when we get back from our walk. I think we're gonna sear off our cod and maybe make a little salad, and there we go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, I'll be on tomorrow night at 5 doing a clam, spaghetti with clams, I guess, or linguine with clams. I'll post the ingredients that you guys need tomorrow. If you're a Healthy Passion subscriber, you guys got an email Monday, I think, with all the ingredients for the week, so you can check your email if you want them now. And then Friday, I'm doing a Mexican beans and rice. I'm actually out of canned beans, so I'm going to try doing dried beans in the Instant Pot, so I'll give you guys instructions if they turn out. And then we're going to do like a simple black bean kind of in the oven with some beer and some butter and some, cheers Tracy, onion and garlic, and then we're going to serve that over fluffy rice. So it's a really good vegetarian dish or a side dish. So cheers everybody. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.